Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. Today is, of course, is AEW Dynamite. However, I know a lot of people are feeling the jitters and nervousness about what was going to happen, about the AEW All In footage that took place almost 8 months ago. Now, I will give you guys my honest thoughts before the end of this episode to let you guys know what do I think. And I know there's going to be people who are going to say certain things, there'll be some agreements and whatnot about it. But we'll get to that at some point. But we're also going to be reviewing, of course, DEFY Wrestling from one of their shows at the Collective. Can't deny this that took place on April 4th. And then, of course, Pro Wrestling Noah with more with the Sunny Voyage tour that took place on April 6th. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates. And then, of course, I'll give you guys my honest thoughts about the All In footage. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do some more real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be opened about. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. I believe it's time to get the show on the road. So let's begin with our very first review. And this is from DEFY Wrestling. Can't deny it. Okay, DEFY Wrestling with Can't Deny This. Now, this is part of the collective that took place in Philadelphia during WrestleMania week. Our first match is the DEFY Tag Team titles. We have the Bollywood boys Gurv and Harv Singh taking on Man Like Darius and Michael Oku. I thought this match was pretty good. I'm not going to lie because, Bollywood boys, they really are a fun tag team to enjoy. You guys probably seen Man Like Darius and Michael Oku, two of the most popular wrestlers coming out of the UK. I thought it was a good dynamic team. I mean, I don't know if they ever worked together as a tag team before, but nonetheless, the show was awesome. But it was the Bollywood boys with the Bollywood blast onto Darius, and I think it was Harv who actually picked up the win by pinning him, and just like that, they retained the tag team titles. Our next match, we have CCK, consistent of Chris Brooks and Kid Lycos, being accompanied by Kid Lycos 2. They take on Moonlight Express, consistent of Mao and Mike Bailey. Now, those who don't know, Mao and Mike Bailey are really good friends. They were, in fact, tag teams. When Mike Bailey was banned from coming in the States, he was going to Japan, more specifically in DDT, and they were, in fact, a tag team. CCCK is a tag team that Chris Brooks formed with Kid Lycos, which is interesting. Which ironically, we have seen Chris Brooks is also from the DDT promotion, but I thought the match was pretty good. I thought it was really fun, but it was of course a backpack, somewhat gore bomb type uh, onto Mike Bailey that was pinned by later by Kid Lycos. I thought decent match. It was pretty good. Now our next match we have a three-way match for the Defy Women's Championship. We have the top tier Jasmine Allure, Trish Adora, and of course the champion Vert Vixen. Um, don't know exactly what to expect because here's the truth: I haven't been following that much with Defy Wrestling. I used to had the Defy on demand, but apparently I couldn't get in. My password or whatever kind of screwed it up. But nonetheless, I thought the match was pretty decent, but also wasn't sure if there was going to be a title change. But it was Vert Vixen who actually picked up the win with the Brainbuster onto Jasmine Allure, and just like that. Now, our next match is a BMF Battle Royale for the Five Pacific Northwest heavyweight title. We had many wrestlers that were involved. We had Luke Jacobs, Galeno del Mal, Charles Crawley, LG Clearing, Shota, Gene Money, Ricky Knight Jr., and Shaft. Pretty good lineup. Don't know who this guy is. Gene Money, never heard him. Crowley, I may have seen him before, but I thought the match was pretty good. Now, however, I want to make this clear. Even though this was a bad royal, I kind of lost track who got eliminated first. But I can tell you that this match ended with Shaft retaining the belt. Because this is the belt that he created in Defy when, of course, they were telling the storyline where Christopher Daniels refuses to give Shaft another opportunity. But it makes sense that they're giving this title this whole thing. But we'll see about that. Now, our next match, we have a trios match. We have three teams. It's a a 9-man three-way tag match. First team we have C4XKZ, which is of course um, the consistent of Cody Chun, Guillermo Rojas, and KC Navarro versus Team Dragon Gate, Shun Skywalker, Ho Ho Loon, and KZ versus Sovereign, uh, Judas um, Icarus, Travis Williams, and Evan Rivers. I thought this match was a bit chaotic because there were a lot of bodies. I wasn't too sure how the ref was going to manage to control this, but it was a moving part. But in the end, it was of course a high low by C4 that picked up the win thanks to Cody, who Chun, who picked up the win by pinning. I believe it. I'm not sure if it was Williams or Rivers. Um, I thought was very okay. Now our next match, this was the main event. This is for the Defy World Championship. We have Gringo Loco taking on the champion Kenta. Now, of course, Kenta has defended this belt countless times with his usual ways, of course, cheating, using the advantage when the ref is knocked out. You probably would have assumed Gringo Loco would have had the opportunity to pick up the win, but nope. Once again, the referee was out. Uh, Kenta used, of course, the chair onto Gringo Loco, but when the ref came to, he applied the GTS, and just like that, he retained the belt. So basically, that's how it ended. So the show was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, but I liked it. So I think that's pretty much it with Defy. I believe it's time for Pro Wrestling Noah. All right, Pro Wrestling Noah with Sunny Voyage. This took place on the 6th of April, but it was not broadcast until the 9th of April, which was this past Tuesday. Now it opened up with Yo Owada taking on Takashi Sugiura. Well, I kind of already thought this match was going with Sugiura because Owada is still a young lion, a young boy, actually still learning. But I'm sure Owada was going to put in a hell of a fight, but it was not enough because Sugiura applied the ankle lock, and just like that, Owada had no choice but to tap. Our next match, we have Junta Miyawaki taking on Shohei Taniguchi. Pretty good match. Interesting dynamic. The fact that we have one wrestler who's a junior heavyweight competitor and a heavyweight competitor. Now, you would think this is going to be um, the concept of speed versus strength or powerhouse, however you want to call it. But nonetheless, Junta Miyawaki did his best he could. But when it comes to Taniguchi, who is a member of Rail, one of the toughest factions within Noah, he pulled off the backdrop driver, and just like that, he got the W. Next up, we have Hajime Ohara and Shuji Kondo taking on Stinger's very own Yoshinari Ogawa and Daga. So, as you know, Daga continued with his dominant ways as the GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. You probably would have assumed. Now, don't forget, Ohara and Kondo have challenged Daga before for his belt. However, they both came out of success. I'm sure that one of them would have presumed that if they were able to pin Daga, they get another opportunity of the GHC Junior Heavyweight title. But unfortunately, it was Ohara who ended up on the wrong side of the Diablo Wings by Daga, and just like that, he has won. Next up, we have Team Noah, consisting of Atsushi Kotoge and Go Shiozaki, taking on GLG's Tadasuke and Jake Lee. Now, of course, there's no denying that GLG has been one of the most dominating factions within Noah. They have picked up some good, impressive wins, but however, things have not been looking good for mostly from Jake Lee, who was unsuccessful to regain the GHC heavyweight title. However, Tadasuke has been successful in, of course, retaining the junior heavyweight tag team titles recently. But however, I don't know if this will play it out in the favor for Kotoge when he applied the air raid crash onto him, and just like that, it was over. Now, Kotoge, as you know, has competed as a junior heavyweight competitor, but recently he made the shift to heavyweight. So, is there a possibility? I don't know. That is the thing. But if I was Team Noah, I would recruit more wrestlers to be part of the junior heavyweight division of the junior competitors within Noah. So that's what I would think. Our next match, we have Daiki Inaba. He teams up with Masa Kitamiya, taking on Osa um, Ulka Suzuki and of course Iho the Doctor Wagner Jr. I thought this match was going to be interesting because um, Suzuki has been very impressive because he has been with Noah for about maybe a month or two, showing a lot of improvement. Um, you probably would think that he would have been the one to make the fault the loss, but nope. It was of course Dr. Wagner who applied a submission. It was more of a crossing the legs with giving like a Kimura lock or hoverboard lock type, and I wasn't too sure what it was, but he did that onto Inaba, and just like that, Inaba had no chance to um, but to pick up the win. Now our next match, we have a 6-man tag match. We have Alpha Wolf and his brother Dragon Bane. They team up with Kano. They take on Alejandro, Ninja Mac, and Naomichi Marufuji. I thought this match was pretty good. Now, honestly, I would have presumed that Kano would have been in a match against Kiyomiya. As you know, they've been going with this long-standing rivalry between those two. But the match was okay from what I can tell. But it was Ninja Mac who actually applied a spinning kick, the same kind that we've seen with Will Ospreay do. He put him down. Recently we did see Alpha Wolf took Ninja Mac's title, the GHC hardcore belt. I'm not sure if they're still throwing that story around, but yes, that's what happened. Our next match, we have Hayata. He teams up with Rohei Oiwa and Kaito Kiyomiya to take on GLG's Yohei, Anthony Green, and Jack Morris. However, here's an interesting factor. Hayata pinned Jack Morris for a shot of the GHC National Champion. However, Kaito Kiyomiya and Rohei Oiwa are the winners of this year's Victory Challenge Tag League. So they do have a right to challenge for the GHC Heavyweight Tag Team title. So at the moment, GLG members are in a bit of a strain here. But however, it was of course Kaito Kiyomiya with the Shining Wizard onto Yohei to pick up the win, and of course Oiwa and Kiyomiya put out a promo showing that they will win. However, we do know that Kiyomiya has to deal with Keno's BS because he's sick and tired of him getting involved with him. But we'll see where that leads us from here on out. And I think that's pretty much it. What happened in Noah, but we'll see what happens. But for right now, let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. Um, well, first things first, I know many people have been talking about what happened with the All In footage. We'll get to that, but I can tell you this: the show was decent. You know, 6 out of 10 to be honest with you guys. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that footage at before the end of this episode. First things first, it was supposed to start with, of course, the Eliminator match for the AEW World Title. Samoa Joe was on his way to the ring until she was viciously attacked by Swerve Strickland, who's been getting into his head, trying to show him that he is that man who's going to walk away and become the AEW World Champion at Dynasty. But however, we did see Renee Paquette try to do an interview with Orange Cassidy if they can give an insight about what was Trent Beretta did last week. He said that he will address that um, about Trent's actions possibly next week. So we'll see what happened until then. Now we did jump in with our very first official match of the day, the TNT title. Uh, uh, Adam Copeland defends it against Penta. I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, not gonna lie, because we have seen Adam Copeland. Now, I could say this, and I think many of you would agree. Who would have thought we're ever gonna see Adam Copeland versus Penta? That's one of the things that I could say positive about this show. I mean, who would have thought? But I thought this match was great. I liked how Penta was being more methodical about aiming for the back of the neck of Adam Copeland. But however, that wasn't enough because Penta got speared, and just like that, it was over. However, while the celebration began, the lights turned off. We see Julie Hart in front of Adam Copeland, but right behind him, Brody King showed up. And then, of course, Julie Hart was about to miss at Adam Copeland, but luckily, Willow Nightingale showed up with the save. So I thought it was a very interesting thing to see. We do know that Will Nightingale will face Julia Hart for the TBS title at Dynasty. Now we do see an interview with Linehook along with Shibata. So they are addressing that they were facing Shane Taylor Promotions, but however, uh, Jericho was planning a, how do I say this, a plan to deal with us with Shane Taylor Promotions, which was very interesting. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens on that match. However, Renee did another interview with Mark Briscoe and Eddie. As you know, we have Mark Briscoe as our new ROH World Champion, Eddie Kingston, who, of course, these two will be teamed with Adam Copeland to take on the House of Black. And, of course, Adam Copeland along with Willow showed up. Uh, Adam Copeland goes calling their team the Rated Chicken Hawks or something like that. He's like, I just made it up. I just made it up. So, like, okay, it makes sense. So, but Willow and Adam Copeland decided before Dynasty that they want to take on Julian Hart and Brody Lee in a mixed tag match. So that's going to happen next week. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson uh, had a little something to announce. Now, they were talking about Jack Perry and a person that they refused to mention. They put him out that he is an associate of FTR. Of course, we all knew about that footage. I mean, about what happened in All In, which is no secret. So they're saying that there was a conspiracy over what happened at All In. Now, this hadn't. They were throwing the story that the reason that the Bucks lost to FTR was because of what happened at the backstage. They're saying that this altercation was the result of a distraction. And I thought it was a very interesting concept, and I'll explain more about this a little later. But nonetheless, I didn't see anything too controversial. But however, there are a lot of talks about what happened. But like I said, I will talk about that at the near the end. So, but we did see at the end of this segment, Matthew had a shirt that says scapegoat. Now there are those who are saying, is this a clear indication that Jack Perry will be making his return? Possibly. Sean Ross Sapp even said that there is the possibility that what if he becomes a new member of the Elite? I mean, I could see that, but we'll just wait and see. Now, it didn't take long for FTR to hear this. Of course, they were sick and tired of what the Bucks were doing it because we know that this was a long-standing rivalry between both factions, between two teams, who have often said who was the best tag team, and that's always been a storyline that we have been seeing. But yeah, so that's what I was thinking. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Will Ospreay took some time to talk to Renee Paquette. Now, some people say what Will Ospreay did was very unprofessional, that he had no business being there, but he took shots at a particular person. He said that that I don't want to grind, and he was saying about you were grinding the boss's daughter, and we all know who that directly. Um, I probably will talk about that too at the end of this episode because I feel people need to understand a little bit what's going on. But yeah, so we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have Lion Hook along with Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions, Moriarty Taylor, along with the newest member, Ogogo. I thought this match was very different from what we normally would expect. However, we did know in the storyline where Chris Jericho talked about Hook, about, of course, told Hook, yes, all this thing about me is true, that I have a tendency to maybe betray or abandon the people around me, which was no secret. But however, there was a misfire by Shibata onto Jericho. It caused the match, and of course, Lee Moriarty took the advantage by pinning Shibata, allowing for Shane Taylor Promotion to pick up the win. However, Hook wasn't too bothered by the loss. It appears there was a disagreement between him and Jericho, but we could see a very interesting feud between Jericho and Hook. I don't know, but we will see what happens down the road with this. Now we do see an interview with Renee Paquette with Dustin Rhodes talking about the update with Joe, and of course this whole thing with the match. Of course he wasn't going to waste time, so he gave a very strong, passionate match. So that practically went ahead. Now, our next match, we have Okada taking on a guy named Cristiano Argento. Well, I can tell you this match ended with Okada winning the match after applying the Rainmaker. However, during the post-match, he announced that he accepts Pac's challenge for the Continental title at Dynasty. However, Pac showed up and he was going to take care of business, but what he should have known, that the Young Bucks were going to be there and attack him. And luckily, FTR showed up because, of course, they were throwing that whole feud that's going to happen at Dynasty. And, of course, the Elite are showing how dominant they are, that they're making headways of what they're planning. So that's something we have been seeing. Now, Bullet Club Gold, as you know, they're once again with their usual antics and all this. Um, Looks like they will have a continuing feud with the Acclaim and Daddy Ass. So we'll see where that is. I wouldn't be surprised if they have both the ROH and the AEW Trios titles be more like a winner takes all match. I wouldn't be surprised with that, but we'll get to that. However, we do see a very interesting segment that was supposed to happen: Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. But however, Tony Storm attacked Thunder Rosa and then tried to take off the makeup. And then, of course, Deonna Purrazzo showed up to stop her. Of course, there's been issues. Now, we know that Thunder Rosa has been unhinged because, A, she never lost the belt. She had to relinquish because of her injury and all this and that. However, while this mayhem was causing, Mariah May showed up. She was on her way to the ring to take on Anna Jay. Now, of course, this match was pretty good. We have seen Anna Jay had made improvements along the way. However, it was, of course, Mariah May who picked up the win when she, of course, Anna was about to apply a, I forgot what it was, but it turned into a sunset flip or something, and then Mariah May picked up the win. However, Anna Jay refuses to, couldn't accept the loss, so she applied the Queen Slayer in order to choke her out. However, I was surprised to see Mina Shirakawa made her appearance. Now, we do know she was going to still stick around in the U.S. because later on this Friday, she'll be at New Japan in Chicago, where she teams up with Viva Van to take on, forgot who was the opponents, but yes. But they're throwing this story about this is becoming a long-standing custody battle over Mariah May. Now, if you guys did not see what was going on, I'll tell you. This past Thursday in Philly, Stardom had their show. Tony Storm showed up after Club Venus lost to Tam Nakano and the members of Stars. Tony Storm showered Mariah May with gifts, and of course, Mina got in her face. So it's more like Mina refuses to lose her best friend, her friend, over Mariah May. So it becomes like a story where, okay, Mariah May is now caught in the middle between her friend and Idol. So we'll see what that goes. But of course, Tony Storm did stated that the forbidden door is open. So I wouldn't be surprised if they will go in that angle. Now, Mercedes Moné applied an interview with Alex Marvez, talked about certain things. As you know, she did call their shots, saying whoever walks out from Dynasty, she'll be the one to face for the TBS title at Double or Nothing. However, Mercedes Moné actually talked about, of course, they were going to throw in this at some point about what happened at the New Japan event, where, of course, Mercedes wanted to be the first to win the New Japan Strong Women's title, but she got injured. So it was more like, okay, Mercedes is saying Willow Nightingale is a dangerous place. However, the lights turned off and we see Mercedes Moné injured. However, I wouldn't be surprised that we all know who that was that made the initial attack. It had to be Julie Hart or possibly her and Sky Blue. However, this whole thing goes out. But we'll see. Now we're back with the Eliminator match between Samoa Joe and Dustin Rhodes. I thought this match was amazing. It showed a very good match story where, of course, Dustin Rhodes, at the age of 55, he still can do it. He can still keep up with the wrestlers who are younger than him. I thought it was a fantastic story. But however, Samoa Joe got away with it by using the belt, then the pinfall. And then, of course, things got out of control at the post-match when Swerve once again decided to get involved and attack Samoa Joe. However, now he's probably in the head of Samoa Joe. But the real question is this the end of Samoa Joe as the AEW champion as we know it? Will Swerve Strickland complete what he said he wanted to do? Well, we'll see. So until then, we'll go from there. But I will give you guys my thoughts about the All In footage and what do I think. So until then, right now, let's just move on with our news updates. So welcome to our news update. So let's talk about the upcoming events from the promotions. We have, of course, Wrestling Open announced for this Friday, I believe, that Suicide will be making his appearance to take on a guy named TJ Crawford, who I've seen on MLW. So yes, we have that. Now, as you know, New Japan will be heading to Taiwan for Wrestling World on the 14th of April, which is this Sunday. And as you know, the never open weight six-man tag team titles have been, of course, vacant. Two matches have been announced for the particular tournament to crown brand new champions. One match is featuring LIJs taking consistent of Bushi and Shingo Tagagi. They take on House of Torture, consistent of Sho, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Evil. So that we could see. And then, of course, we have Bolton Oleg. He teams up with Toru Yano and Hiroshi Tanahashi to take on the United Empires, Cal Newman, Francesco Incara, and Great-O-Khan. So those are the two matches involved for that. So hopefully there'll be more to be announced, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, West Coast Pro announced more for the upcoming event for this Sunday at Pro Res Mixtapes. There's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls Yavedo Masterclass challenge. So we have Angelico taking on the King of Strange Style, Aries. Then, of course, on the 21st of April, GCW will have Breaking GCW. Nick Gage will be in action to take on Broski Jimmy Lloyd. Well, Jimmy Lloyd's going to be really hurt when he gets out of this one. RevPro announced for the Epic Encounter event that will take place on the 20th. Kushida will be in action to take on Robbie X. DEFY Wrestling has announced for the Here and Now event on the 10th of May. The DEFY World Championship will be defended. Kenta defends his belt against the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. MLW announced for the Azteca Lucha that will take place on May 11th. Two names have been announced to participate. The first one is Mystico, and the other is Fuego. Not Fuego del Sol, just plain old Fuego. And then, of course, on June 12th, for the Fortune Dream 9 event created by Kenta Kobashi, they announced a interesting mixed tag match. We have Naruki Doi. He teams up with, of course, the Ghosts of the Hiroshima Ghost Death Match, or whatever she calls herself, Risa Sera, and they take on Unagi Sayaka and Masato Tanaka. So that's a very interesting thing to watch. Now for interesting developments. As you all know, Taka Michinoku hasn't wrestled in the U.S. for almost 20 years now, or possibly more. However, he took onto his X account and talked about something very curious. Now let me pull that up for all of you. Here it is. I wrestled in the U.S. more than 20 years ago. After that, I avoided going abroad. But while my body was still moving, I began to want to try a little bit. I'm especially curious about AEW. Want to go up. So it makes perfect sense now. So he decided after WWE, he didn't want to come to the States. I'm sure he feels like what happened maybe wasn't worth it anymore after that, whatever the decision was made. But he's more curious about AEW more than he imagine. We do know that, of course, New Japan has a relationship with them. It would make absolute sense. So how will they introduce him? I would say he should team up with his buddy Lance Archer, since they were members of Suzuki Gun. So that would be an interesting thing to watch. But we'll see. Now, Fightful Select reports that Drew McIntyre still hasn't signed a new contract with WWE. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What is going on here? Now, I'm not here to guess, but I can try to assume that there's a possibility there's no agreement between both parties. Now, I don't know jack about the wrestling business. Let's just put it as that, because I don't know how it works. But I hear things as we go. However, I'm sure Drew McIntyre was trying to make a deal with WWE, but whatever deal that they had in mind, probably Drew McIntyre wasn't too keen on that. So possibly there's that, but who knows? Um, Hopefully one day we'll find out. But that's pretty much it. Now, finally, Tam Nakano has spoken to Tokyo Sports about something very interesting. Now, as you know, Julia's gone. Her long-standing rival has left the company. So the obvious question you tell, who's gonna be her new rival? Well, it appears that she already found her new rival, and she actually teamed up with her this past Sunday at Spark Yoshi-Producer of America, and I'm talking about Aja Kong. So I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, Tam Nakano has faced tougher opponents before, but this is going to be a much tougher one. But I would say I would like to see it happen. But we'll see where this leads us from here on out. But until then, let's just leave it as that. But right now, I feel like it's time to end this episode by talking about the AEW, the All In footage, and what are my thoughts. So let's get to that. Okay. The AEW All In footage. Jack Perry, CM Punk. Now, we all know what happened almost 8 months ago about the situation. Even CM Punk went on an interview and explained the situation about how it had happened. Now, truth to be told, when I saw this footage, I was like, okay, CM Punk wasn't lying about what happened on that day, which was obvious when I watched it over and over. But some people are saying that they should not have put this footage. And I can understand why. Like, why do we need to talk about this now? People think that maybe the reason this happened was because CM Punk talked about what happened at All In. Who knows? But I care to look at it as a way to, okay, they're selling the story between FTR and the Young Bucks. Now, let me explain about this for all of you. Those who don't know, I'm a fan of storylines. I mean, I like the storylines with the Cosmic Angels, how they were telling it. And of course, Kenny Omega and a few things. However, when it came to this with FTR and the Young Bucks, it's more like, okay, this is a long standing rivalry between two of the best tag teams in the world. They've often argued amongst each other saying who is the best, which was obvious. So the idea what they were trying to do is saying, hey, FTR, you guys are the masterminds for what you caused for our loss. And of course, this distraction that happened in the past. But of course, they were telling that FTR, you're the cause of this. They're throwing this fit as the EVPs, about all of that, which I understand what they were trying to do. Now, I know some of you will probably say, hey, J Rod, aren't you bothered? Are you going to stop AEW? No, I'm not going to stop. Look, do I think this video was a bad idea? Maybe. Do I think this was a good idea to go on with this storyline? I don't know. But however, I did hear that the Bucks were not, this was not their idea. This was Tony Khan's idea. One man made this choice, and I get it. And of course, I'm hearing AEW anti-fanatics out there are saying this is the end. Oh, come on, guys. Let's just be real. You guys have been saying this for years now. You've been saying AEW's done 1 year and then this and that. They're not going nowhere, no matter what you guys are saying. That's the problem. Just because this video, this footage came around is the end. Some people say they will never recover. They can recover, but it will take some time. Maybe a year or two or possibly more. I don't know. Now, I did hear certain wrestlers were not too fond of this idea of throwing this video. I get it. They're more worried about how this backlash is going to. At least some wrestlers are self aware. But let's just be real. This was all about selling a story. Selling a story that you may think it's going to be a good idea. I mean, ask yourself this question, guys. Have you ever had of an idea that you wanted to do, and some people say, I don't think that's a good idea, dude. And you did it anyway, and then realizing, oops, I made a mistake. Yeah, we had those people. And you're looking at one guy who had an idea and he screwed up. That was me. Did I learn from it? Hell yes. That's the thing. Now you can say to me, am I gonna stop watching AEW? No, I will not stop watching AEW. Now, as I said before, what do I think about the rest of the show? I have to say a 6 out of 10. Not gonna lie. Which is not bad. But I do think the show was decent enough. But the All In footage, I felt like, I mean, look, I understand what they were trying to do. Does it change my opinion? No. Did I like the idea they were doing it? I don't think so. Do I think I understand what they were planning? Yes, I understand that. There's a key difference. I have my own opinions and thoughts. But like I said, this does not change how I feel about AEW. Okay? Sure, it was a bad idea. I'm sure the Bucks were not too keen on the idea. They even tweeted Evie Petty. And they're self-aware of that. I mean, ask yourself this question, guys. Are you willing to put the blame on the entire roster or the person who thought of the idea? Ask yourselves that. I would put the blame on Tony Khan. And I ask him, why, dude? Why did you put this video on? Was this a way to get back at CM Punk for what he said in an interview? Perhaps. I get you're upset. And I'm sure you're offended what CM Punk said about you. I get it. I get that you probably are pissed. But was it the right way to do it? Possibly not. You know? I'm sure that everybody are asking themselves, what was the purpose? I know one side of the purpose is selling the story. Do I think that this is going to change my mind? No. I know many AEW fans are not too happy about it, but does that change their mind that they're going to stop watching AEW? No. It won't change a thing. No matter what the anti-AEWs fans are saying, we're not going to stop watching. You can say and brag all you want about it's the end. You've been saying that for years. Stop saying that. You don't know that. Do I think it's going to be the end? No. But we will see what happens. I'm sure certain things will be addressed towards it and all this and that. But I do know from what I understand that there's going to be a lot of questions about this, a lot of different opinions. But we will see where this leads us from here on out. But as I said before, I'm not going to stop watching AEW just because of this. I do have an opinion about the video and my thoughts. Does that change my feelings towards AEW? No. Think about that. Are you willing to put the blame on the entire roster? Or just blame it on the person who thought of the idea? I'll leave that up to you guys. But for right now, I think it's time to call it a day. Okay, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Me reviewing DEFY, Noah, and AEW, and of course, giving you guys my thoughts about the All In footage. Hopefully, the next episode will be a little different. I know that I had a lot to say. But however, for our next episode, as you know, we have TNA and ROH. I haven't decided just yet what else I'm going to put in. I haven't seen the rest of the collective. I probably will be doing that throughout the entirety of the week. But hopefully, I can get it done as soon as possible. I'm still looking forward to seeing what's going to happen until then with upcoming events that I'm planning to review for all of you. But until for right now, we'll just leave things as it is, and I'll see you guys the next time. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.